Hey guys, wanted to do a roast video and show you one method of doing a roast. So what I've got for this roast is salt, pepper, lemon, garlic, sugar, and a pre-blended herb mix. Keep or ditch the lemon, use the herbs you want. Rosemary, thyme, oregano, mint, and fennel, it's all good. The next time I do a roast video, I'll make my own herb blend just for you guys, but I've already got this pre-blended stuff, so I'm going to use it for this one. Had this boneless lamb leg roast in the freezer, so we thawed that out, and that's what we're going to roast. This is a wet method using a marinade. In the future, I'll show you some other methods, but for this one, we're going in wet. We're going to take this lamb and bust it out of the cryovac, and when we take it out of that cryovac, we're just going to hold the lamb up a little bit and let the juices drip off back into the bag. That's just so that we don't get juice all over the place. You can't see that I did that in the video, but I swear I did, guys. Honest. So you can see the lamb has this netting on it. We're not going to use this netting. We're actually going to take it off, and I'll explain why in a little bit. So I'm just going to take this netting off, and I really don't know why I did it this way. I wasn't planning on keeping it or anything. I probably could have just used the shears, but here I am using my hands, rolling it off very inefficiently. Don't do that. Just grab a knife or scissors and cut it off. Just remember that you do still need to fiddle with it and play around with it. Take it, stretch it out, have a good time. So after we've taken off that netting, we're going to come in with some paper towels and we're going to pat the roast dry. Open it up, get on the inside, get all over, give it a good pat dry. I know we're doing a wet method here, so you might be wondering, why are we patting this dry? Well, that's a damn good question. Does it make a difference? I don't know. Maybe. I'm patting it dry. I'm telling you to pat it dry. Just pat it dry. After dubiously patting, roll the roast on its back to really assert your dominance. Then allow it to sit there in quiet contemplation. Our next step is to weigh the lamb, and the reason we're weighing it is so that we know how much salt to put on it. I like using percentages and find that in most instances 1.2 to 1.4% salt is adequate. This is one of those times where having a kitchen scale really comes in handy, but if you don't have one, I'll help you out here. I'm using kosher salt and a half teaspoon here. You can see 1 scoop is about 3 grams, so a teaspoon of kosher salt should be roughly 6 grams. If you're an imperialist, just know that 1 teaspoon per pound is roughly 1.3% salt by mass. So my roast weighed 2,100 grams, and I know that means I need somewhere roughly around 25 grams of salt. So I'm just going to weigh out somewhere around 25 grams of salt, probably shoot up a little bit. You may notice a lot of awkward pausing that I do while I'm filming the videos, and that's just because a lot of the stuff you see me doing here is in real time. I do cut the clips a little bit, but all this pausing and thinking, that's just me trying to decide what I want to do. I just keep it in because whatever. Decided to take a little bit of salt out at the end there. Brought it down to 26 grams. After the salt, we're going to add a little bit of sugar. Not a bunch, just a little bit, and that'll help with the browning once it gets into the oven. I think I did around 8 grams for the roast, so again, you don't need a lot, just a little bit. That'll help with the browning. That's still the half teaspoon there, and 1 scoop was about 2.4 grams. So we did about 1.5 teaspoons for 2,100 grams of lamb. Once you've got your salt and sugar in a bowl together, just pick it up and give it a little stir, get it mixed around together, and then set it aside for later. We're going to work on the marinade now. I'm going to start that out by mashing up some cloves of garlic. I'm using 4 cloves for this roast. And for this task, I'm going to use a mortar and pestle. If you don't have a mortar and pestle, you don't have to use one. You can use a garlic press or just chop it up finely with a knife. Do what you got to do. Just make sure you get that garlic nice and crushed up and mixed together. Just mash it up good, and then we'll move on to the next step. Once you're finished mashing up your garlic, you're going to come in with your herbs. Like I said before, I'm using an herb blend that I already had, and that's a Greek herb blend that I'm using, and that's still the half teaspoon. So that's half teaspoon, 1 teaspoon, 1.5 teaspoons for 2,100 grams. Deliberated on a 4th, but decided less is more and did not use it. So stir that in with the garlic and get yourself a nice paste going. And once you're happy with the look of the paste that you're forming, you can start adding the other ingredients. I like adding the ingredients one by one and mixing them in. You don't have to do that. You can just plop them all in at the start if you want. I just find it's a little less messy to do them one by one. After I've got my herbs mashed up in there, I'm going to come in with the pepper, and I'm just doing half a teaspoon pepper for this one. The whole peppercorns are really going to help mash up that garlic and get us a really good paste going here. I spent more time mashing this than you see in the video. I clipped it. I just thought, no one needs to see this. No one needs to watch this. I don't want to subject you to that. But we have our paste now, so we're going to move on. So the next step is coming back in with that sugar and salt mix and just getting it all over this roast. That's why I removed and discarded that netting that came with the roast earlier. This is a boneless leg lamb roast, so it has a lot of surface area that the netting keeps us from getting to when we keep it on. And that's why we take it off. Because when we come in with the salt, the sugar, and the marinade now, we're going to get it all over the inside and outside, increasing that surface area that we're coming in contact with. So rub that sugar and salt mix in there good. Be sure to pick it up, move it around, get it all over every single side, inside and out, and then move on to the next step. Next step for me is the lemon juice. So if you're not using the lemon, skip this step obviously, but if you are, just get the lemon juice in there, squeeze it good, get all that juice out. And then just make sure you're getting it all over just like that sugar and salt mix. I'm using basically a whole lemon, just a little piece of it was used earlier for something else, but yeah, basically a whole lemon for 2.1 kilograms. So if your roast is smaller, use less. If your roast is bigger, use more, or the same amount. I don't care. It's your roast, your rules. After the lemon, we're going to add the paste we made earlier. I don't like putting it all in at once. I just put a little bit in the palm of my hand. Add that, get it all over, and then flip it and add a little bit more. I just do that until I've used up all the paste and make sure it's rubbed in there very good, as with everything else. All these steps really are the same thing with different ingredients, so just get in there with the paste, get it all over again, every nook and cranny. And once you've done that, you're just going to take the roast and pop it in the fridge. I let it marinate for 4 hours. You can certainly go more if you want, but I wouldn't do less. So do it for at least 4 hours or overnight or something, and then it'll be ready for the next step. Okay, so this roast had 4 hours in the fridge, and now it's ready for the next step. Because we took that netting off, we'll need to reshape this leg before roasting. We're going to do that by flattening out the leg and putting it meat side up. Then we're going to try our best to roll the meat back into the roast form that it was when it was in the netting. Out of curiosity, I checked previous footage, and this looks nothing like it did in the netting. So just roll it as best you can into a roast shape with the fat side out, and get yourself some butcher's twine to tie it up. I'm going to tell you now, if you don't have any butcher's twine, you should probably hop on Amazon and punk the Bezos, then walk down to the grocery store and pick up yourself some butcher's twine, okay? It's one of those things you really should have kicking around for all manner of uses. Be a Boy Scout, learn to tie knots, earn your badges, and always play with knives. So cut off lengths of your butcher's twine. Be generous. It's okay to have more than you need, just cut it off later. For this roast, I'm going to do 3 knots across and then 1 lateral, and we're going to use the butcher's knot, which is a lot like a basic knot, except you loop the string 2 or 3 times before tightening it off instead of 1. That makes the knot tighter and keeps it from slipping or loosening later on. So starting from the middle, lay a string down and get this thing tied up. You can see I've used a rolling method. It was effective. So if you're not sure what to do, you can try doing that. It worked for me. And here you can see that butcher's knot I was talking about. So like I said, it's just like a basic knot, except you're going to go around twice or 3 times before tightening it off. And then you'll use a basic knot to lock it in tight. And now you can come in with your scissors or shears and just clip off the excess and throw it out. Later. Throw it out later. So after we get that middle one tied off, we're going to come around and do it 2 more times across the roast. 1 on one side of the center and 1 on the other. I'm not going to tell you how to live your life, but generally it is better to start the knots from the center and work your way out. You'll just get a better shape from your roast in the end. Don't go too close to the edge of the roast, otherwise the twine may slip off. So I'm going to show you how to do this one more time. You take the twine, you make a rhyme, loop the string 2 or 3 times, and then you just go ahead and you cinch that off, just like that, and then you lock it off with a basic knot. We've got our 3 butcher's knots going across the roast, and now we're going to do 1 across the center laterally. Not literally, laterally, but also literally. So do just as you did for the previous knots, and I decided to leave the extra twine on this knot so I could lift the roast up like that. And later on when I need to lift that roast, the extra string might come in a little bit handy, or stringy, even though it's a little bit knotty. Now that we have the roast tied off, we're going to come in with a little bit of olive oil. We're going to rub that in, and that's just going to assist in the browning while the lamb fat renders. Get it good and covered, and then if you want, you can add some more herbs on the exterior. I find doing the oil before the herbs is better, but you know, it's not a fact, so do it however you want. But if you want to be cool, you'll do the oil first. So do the oil first. Give that roast a couple little slaps, then slide it around the cutting board, tap it up and down, move it over there, then bring it back over here. So like I was saying before, I'm going to put some more herbs on the outside. That extra half teaspoon that I didn't put in earlier, you know, I thought maybe I'll just save it for the end here. I'm going to take some of that and sprinkle it on the top, just like that. And then I'm going to come in with my hand and I'm just going to pat it in. Always pat your roasts. After that, I'm going to flip the roast and then sprinkle some more on the other side. Then I'll pat that in too. And I'll use whatever I've got left there to go around the roast and pat some in here and there. At the end, I like to roll the roast around the cutting board just to pick up all those extra little bits and pieces. The roast is ready for the oven now, and it's going to go into a preheated oven at 475. And depending on your roast size, you'll go anywhere from 20 to 40 minutes. My roast is 2.1 kilograms, so that's about 4.5 pounds. And I kept it at 475 for 35 minutes. This is the roast after being in the oven for 20 minutes. And you can see it's not looking all that browned. We don't have any of that rich dark caramelization happening yet, but it will happen, trust me. I turned the roast, and now I'm going to put it back into the oven for another 15 minutes. I have my camera out of the tripod for this shot, so that's why it's long and skinny. But according to the clip label, this shot is after another 15 minutes. Seems dubious to me, but hey, it might be true. Just keep an eye on your roast, check on it every 10 minutes or so, give it a baste here and there, and when it looks like it's browned enough, turn down the heat to 325. Once you bring the temp down, keep basting the roast every 20 minutes or so until it reaches your target temp. I could have pulled it here, but I really wanted to ride that line between medium and medium rare, so I put it back in for about another 10 minutes or so. I also wanted it to get a little more browned on the outside. That's kind of one of the shortcomings you just have to come to accept with the wet method. The roast will be flavorful and it'll still be excellent, but you just won't have the same coloring on the outside as you would with a dry method. The shortcoming of that dry method is it takes longer, at least a day and a half. So when you're tight on time, this wet method really is a good way to go. And like I said, it's still going to taste great, but it won't be as dark and evenly crusted. Once you hit your target temp, mine was at 128, pack your roast in some foil and let it rest for about 30 minutes. Your target pull temp for the oven should be about 8 to 10 degrees below your target temp for doneness. This is because while the roast rests, the heat will redistribute and raise the internal temperature of the roast. This is called carryover cooking, and it will raise the temperature of your roast somewhere between 5 to 10 degrees. So pull the roast about 10 degrees early and let the carryover cooking finish it off while it rests. Decided to cover the roast with some towels just to help keep the warmth in, and after 30 minutes I took it out of the foil and started cutting it up. According to them, ideally for carving a roast you want a knife that is thin and doesn't thicken as it reaches the spine. So a chef's knife isn't your best choice. Ideally you would use a carving knife, but I don't have one and all I use is a utility knife. So slice the roast up as thick or thin as you like. I'm going with thin slices for right now. Later on I'll probably make a couple of thick ones. You can see the end piece here is a little more done than medium, but as I get deeper it gets closer to medium rare. For this video I edited with DaVinci Resolve, and I'm not too sure if I like it more than Clipchamp. I might keep using it, we'll see. I'm also shooting from the hip for this voiceover, so let me know what you prefer, this or a script. Thanks for watching and stick around for more content.